Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds, back to work. It's Monday, and we have an NBA champion just down the street.
First time since the franchise moved from Seattle to Oklahoma City. First time the NBA has been the national champion, or world champion in this case, in the history of the Oklahoma City Thunder. They moved in 2008, I think it is, and now they finally win it. Thunder 103, the Indiana Pacers 91. Actually, a good ball game. In my opinion, Oklahoma City, from day one, was the best team. Heck, they won 68 regular season games, and they do have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is the NBA and the playoffs most valuable player. That says something. He had 30 points and led the way. Now, Indiana was really thrown aside by the injury to Tyrese Halliburton. No, not the calf injury. He went down at the end of the first period with an Achilles tendon that put him out. Now, whether or not it's a rupture, who knows, but he never got back into the ball game, and you could see the Pacers kind of wilt. Still, the Indiana Ball Club had the lead at the end of the first half by 1 point. Midway through the third period, though, the depth factor became rather significant, and Oklahoma City goes on to win it. 103-91, Oklahoma City Thunder, the NBA World Champs for 2025.
Crazy, I will give it up to the Pacers making it that far and really not losing any of that fight, at least in that first half. You know the rules. You're not supposed to bring any bad news in here, man.
Sad story, it really is, but Paul Mullins was a big favorite for all of us here in town. Long-time football coach at Greenwood, very popular with his players, very popular with the constituency, had many friends, moi included. Passed away yesterday following a stroke he had several days ago. Paul was in his early 90s and a terrific guy, wonderful personality, and a very good coach. Now, many don't remember when Springfield Greenwood played football, but they did right up into the early 1990s. Paul coached them into the late 1980s. He had a couple of state championship teams, always a state championship contender in Class 1, but the kids really loved him. He was a good teacher, a good coach, and he'll be very much missed. Our condolences to the Mullins family. Moon Mullins, Paul Mullins at Greenwood, passing away yesterday.
And it's hard not to think that right now we'd be sitting here had the Razorbacks won against LSU, talking about how Arkansas would be the World Series champions, but it's not. They lost to LSU, and the Tigers are now the world champions.
They are indeed. For the second time in 3 years, LSU wins the College Baseball World Series. They did it with a 5-3 victory over Coastal Carolina, beating Coastal Carolina on Saturday night 1-0. Well, there are many in the media who feel like a circumstance in the first inning yesterday really cost the Chanticleers from South Carolina. And that circumstance was their coach and the first base coach got booted from the game, kicked out by the umpire. Many in the media, and I will say, watching a little bit of it, the broadcasters themselves on ESPN said, oh my gosh, that's really, these guys got the heave-ho in a hurry, and it did cost their team. Coastal Carolina had their ace, 6'8" Jacob Morrison on the hill. Guy's an outstanding pro prospect, but LSU solved him for a big rally in the fourth inning, and that was the game, and a 5-3 win for the Bayou Bengals from LSU. They are the NCAA national champs.
What did they do to get booted from the game?
Argued balls and strikes, but apparently they did it vociferously because the home plate umpire, who's the crew chief, threw him out. And it was early. He let him go early. And you lose your head coach and your first base coach, who's the hitting coach as well. That really has a psychological deprivation on the team.
Oh, definitely messes with your mojo for sure. It's just crazy to think that he didn't have a thicker skin. Going into yesterday's game against the Reds, the Cardinals had won 5 in a row. And then wouldn't you think, on the day that our general manager and all of our St. Louis Cardinals sponsors go up to Busch Stadium to watch the game together. Great game they picked, too, by the way. They were the crux, if you will.
Now, Cincinnati won the game 4-1, and the Cardinals just decided not to hit yesterday. They only had 3 hits off Andrew Abbott, who is a very, very good pitcher for Cincinnati, kid out of the University of Virginia. And he held the Cardinals to only 3 hits through 7 innings, and that's all the Redbirds were able to get. The Reds, I should say, scratched home 4 runs, not with a whole lot of hitting, but key hits here and there. And now the Cardinals get set for a very big series starting tonight up at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. But the game yesterday, and really it's kind of funny, the rhythm that baseball has, because Cardinals, in all honesty, should have lost on Saturday as well. Cincinnati had the lead, gave it up in the 8th and 9th innings, and in the top of the 10th, the home run, or last the 9th, I should say, a home run to tie the game, and then the winning run comes in the 10th. So really, everything balances out. Nonetheless, Cincinnati wins 4-1, and now the Cardinals get set to take on the Chicago Cubs.
Wish I could say the Kansas City Royals did any better against the Padres in San Diego, but they did not.
Well, Kansas City took 2 of the 3 games, but they did not win yesterday, and it was a rather unusual ending. San Diego Padres had the winning run on third base. Here's a bouncing ball up the middle. Base hit. Well, Kansas City took it away from them. Shortstop made the play, had no option, had to go home, trying to get Luis Arias, who is not only one of the best hitters in baseball, but he's also very quick, slid in under the tag. Ball game, San Diego wins it 3-2. But, hey, the Kansas City Royals are a pretty good baseball team, folks, and they're coming back. They're hovering around 500 now. Have the Tampa Bay Rays coming in to play tomorrow night, not tonight. And indeed, I think Kansas City is going to get well in the second half. Springfield Cardinals, speaking of halves, ended the first half of their season last night. They did so with a win over Corpus Christi 3-1. Springfield ends up with 43 wins. They end up with a championship of the Northern Division of the Texas League. That puts them automatically in the playoffs. This is a pretty good team. Folks, in the second half, which begins tomorrow night, and the Springbirds are in Wichita to start that second half. There's no big celebration to end the half. It's a matter of mathematics. You just played your 69th game first half. Now you'll start your second 69. But the Cardinals are in the playoffs, and indeed they'll kind of hone their game.
And it's nice to see it. I know all the guys working at Hammons Field at least know now they're going to have a few extra games.
At the most 4.
Yeah, at least. I know this because a buddy of mine was supposed to do something last night, and he kept having to put it back because the race kept getting delayed due to rain. But did they get that race finally run in Pennsylvania?
They did indeed, up at Long Pond, Pennsylvania, which is in the Pocono Mountains and is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful surrounding. They ran the race, which was called the Great American Getaway 400. That was the sponsoring group. And after a 2.5-hour delay, they finally got it. They had to beat the sunset because there are no lights at Long Pond, Pennsylvania, at the Pennsylvania Speedway. But they did get it in. Chase Briscoe wins his first race of the year, first race in several years. Denny Hamlin finishing in second. Chase Briscoe takes the checkered flag.
Ned, you have a wonderful Monday, and I will see you mañana.